Today is Monday, 12 noon Eastern or 12 noon somewhere, wherever you may be. I'm in South Florida. My name's Stuart Brisgel. My partner, David Solomon, is in Montreal, Quebec, wearing a nice checkered shirt for the occasion. Yep, very dasher, very dasher. You know, I think today is an interesting topic because there is a new bill in Texas that wants you to have an opposing view of the Holocaust. And my question is was that their intent or is that how someone's playing it? David, you've been looking at this. What did you find?
Well, let me tell you, Stuart, it's actually quite fascinating to see what had happened in Texas. See, the problem was that Texas is trying very hard with their school system to counter what is becoming the new education system, which is, CRT, how we're talking about racism and slavery and history. And Governor Greg Abbott said, hey, guys, no, we have to have opposing views about this. We're not going to go out. We need to find opposing views. So to counter where they were going with CRT, by accident, Governor Abbott opened the door to something that I don't think he realized he was creating, and that was opening all of history now to opposing views. And what has transpired, unfortunately, in a school system, a South Lake school system, the school leader there essentially told the teachers that they better find Holocaust books with opposing views to follow the law. The law said you got to do it. And now as a result, they said, hey, if we're going to teach the Holocaust, which is history, we have to bring opposing views. It's sick, but this is what ended up happening. And the teachers in the Carroll School District said they're afraid of being punished for stocking books in the classroom dealing with racism, slavery, and now the Holocaust. They're afraid. Now, Texas doesn't want to go down this road for the most part, but we understand where the countering, opinions are. But Stuart, what happened was by accident is now that these schools are going to have to find books that say the Holocaust didn't happen or the Holocaust, well, it wasn't exactly Germany's fault. And again, before you all make this about a Jewish thing, I'm not talking about making this about the 6 million who perished, God forbid. But let me remind people that political prisoners, those that opposed the Nazi regime, homosexuals, those that dealt with mental issues, physical issues, were all put in concentration camps and were slaughtered. The Jewish people, unfortunately, were the ones that had the largest number of who were killed, and we're the ones who are preserving the history, whatever. So now you're telling the Texas school system, go find books that say either the Holocaust didn't happen or political views is why the Holocaust should have. Like, do you understand the Pandora's box, Stuart, that has been opened by a law?
So it's Senate Bill 1828. I believe this is the bill. And I just found out this statement they just published. Recent news reports of further confusion expressed by classroom educators regarding what books about the Holocaust they should make available to students. Senate Bill 1828, which was passed 2019, established a statewide mandatory Holocaust Remembrance Week for all K through 12 public school students, authorized Holocaust genocide, anti-Semitism advisory development for approval of any resources to be used in Texas classrooms, right? The next Holocaust Remembrance Week is January 24th, 28th, 2022. So this is their public statement that they've just published, right?
Wow.
So I guess, David, in response to the most recent thing, and this was pulled from, this is the 1019. So this is last week's in response to, right? So I guess that's pretty darn good. Its source is thgc.texas.gov.
But the problem is that I get what they were trying to say here.
But I agree.
But here's the Pandora's box that this is opening. The Pandora's box is, and this, by the way, didn't come from an American. It came from a British source that says that it's not. We're opening the door to denying history. That the Texas legislature, while they're trying to fit on the other side, I get they're trying to counter, is that they're actually, and believe me, they're not going to walk into schools now and say, by the way, here's the Holocaust thing. What they've done is they've now said that anything that they've deemed controversial, and believe me, the Holocaust has become this so-called controversial, the Holocaust denial has become a sport. This has become controversial. And now, yeah.
Let me jump on you one more time, because again, we talk about the left-wing media constantly trying to deflect what the current problems are. See, if President Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris, however you want to enunciate her name, want to stay in power, they need to make sure that all the news media decides to talk about issues other than what is really affecting the world. And I want you to see how USA Today, The Guardian, NBC News, CNN all jump on that, Washington Post, right? And here we go. New York Times apologizes after the officials, right? So they all forget about that, but just decide to go with, oh no, Texas is trying to do this to try and sway voters from going to the right side of politics.
Well, that's the whole thing. That was the whole thing. That the whole thing was, it was a conservative, this bill was a conservative move to deflect what's really happening.
From 2019.
But the thing is that why did we brought up this subject is the Pandora's box that both sides have really created for themselves. Is that on one side, you have the CRT movement. You have all these people that are trying to push really hard for, let's change our educational system. Let's oppose it. What you're going to do is change this. I'm not going to call it the narrative because it's disgusting to put it this way, but you open the door to the question is, do you bring into school suddenly that Hitler didn't arrange for the murder of 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of others? Do you suggest that it would be illegal suddenly to teach the Diary of Anne Frank? Like, are we saying at this point that this whole thing was a big ass hoax? That all these armies, the British, the American, the Russian armies,
David, but I just put that up on the screen. Texas GOP says anti-CRT law would never require opposing views of the Holocaust.
No, again, but I'm saying no. But Stuart, what I'm saying is it's not. Texas has done this, and this was the countervailing and the accident that's going to happen. But you've just planted a seed. You've just planted a seed in other states to say, we now have figured out how to rewrite history. Let's rewrite history by putting this type of legislation into law. Texas has opened the door that now you're going to create a different form of racism in the classroom. I'm sorry to say, but I have a respect for the Texas legislature, but they just taught 49 other states. If you want to teach history differently in classrooms, here's the ticket. If you want to deny people what history is really, because someone posted today on my LinkedIn that history is written by the victor. And what riled me was that when we're talking about the Holocaust, if you're going to tell me that the Jews were the victorious party, you're a sick person. All right?
Very sick.
Come on.
Sick. Very
we're
sick.
Not writing, we're not writing history here, folks. Come on.
David, listen, I grew up next to a husband and wife that were Holocaust survivors over on Woodlawn. And they were a nice elderly couple, and they've since passed. And they used to come every year and used to show their tattoos on their arms and used to show us their numbers and explain what they actually meant and how they ended up getting these tattoos. Now, there is no single person from the Holocaust that actually probably made a dime. They all got killed. 6 million of them, 11 million people to 12 million in total. It was a very dark time for the the fascists that took over most of Western Europe. And the amount of people that died far exceeds 12 million. But again, when you have 6.5 million Jews, 3 million gypsies, 4 million, 3.5 million gay and lesbians. I mean, I don't know where the LGBTQ committee comes around, but, they were massacred alongside the Jews. Yet here they are wanting to promote this leftist mentality. I can't for the life of me understand what's good for me but not for thee, how these people continue to
But
rave terror
this is,
on people. And it
but
wasn't Texas's way of doing it. They did this in 2019. It took some asshole who from the liberal media to try and spin something and use it against. There's no good deed that goes unpunished, but I hope the editors that publish this information without checking their sources, in the spirit of the law, their hands don't fall off, their computer keys break, and their
but
printing
Stuart,
presses stop working.
I think it opened up a very interesting dialogue here. Okay, and how our education system has been completely, screwed up. We see this in Loudoun, Virginia. We see this in a lot of other places where parents are literally saying to the school board and to the school system and even to legislatures, watch what you're doing. Because the much as you're trying to fix history and you're trying to fix the education system, you're causing other things to break. And if you want to have a spirited, the question that should be asked in a classroom is, why were homosexuals targeted in World War II by Hitler? What was the reason? Why was it reason that he went after, as you call them, gypsies, but these were Romanian, and Hungarian nomads? Why did he target them? That's a conversation you need to have, not the other way around. Not the other way around. And this is what the law accidentally did. And you're right, the left-wing media wanted to spin it. But Stuart, what I'm asking...
Go ahead.
Stuart, what I'm asking is, what do they want teachers to do? My mother was a teacher for 25 years. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me finish my point here. For 25 years, my mother taught, and she said, listen, the school boards and the government wants to control the narrative. And I see this happening here in Quebec, which is they're changing again the narrative or whatever. Here, the question is, what do you want teachers to do in a classroom? What is the relevant topic? What is the agenda? What's the curriculum? Just to say, bring in opposing views is too vague, and it opens the door to such discourse, like a disgusting discourse, a racist discourse that's going to occur, that at the end of the day, people are going to go, probably the Holocaust didn't happen. Or America deserved to be bombed at Pearl Harbor. Is that what we want our kids to learn?
Look, we've talked at length about supporting gay and lesbian rights, supporting even transgender rights. We've spoken about everyone's right and in support of their rights. I got to tell you, I believe in freedom of the speech, but I also believe in showing how stupid, vile, and crazy people can be, like the person that put that up on your website. It wasn't the intent of the bill in 2019 when it was put that was designed to combat CRT, that today you have the federal government sicking people on it, which is against the First Amendment rights. Canadians don't understand why and how these rights are so important. And it's not so important on this issue, but on this issue it is. It's important on every single issue. And as we come to our end, our quarter hour, and we have our viewers that are listening around the world, I stand in support of everyone's right to choose. It's your right. I don't oppose you if you want to go into another bathroom, but you can't go in another bathroom at the cost of someone else's safety.
Stuart, we're talking about the education system, man, not that. Come on.
Yeah, but even in the education system today, I feel like a nut, and the next day I feel like a grasshopper. Listen, this whole what you are and the way you feel society is not solving the problem. And I think, David, you bring up a great point that a 2019 bill that now got all the left-wing media talking about you now should oppose two ways of thinking for the Holocaust, which was never their intent. These are just Holocaust deniers, anti-Semites, liars, people that are yelling fire in a movie theater and should be indicted for doing just that. And I think we need to take a step back and start going after these insane people. And if the government doesn't want to do it, then by public opinion, like shame on Nike, maybe. Shame on Unilever, yes. And everyone else that wants to start causing discomfort for anyone that's trying to find comfort. It's 14 minutes, almost a
let me tell
quarter hour.
Stuart,
We're not going to figure
I'm going to wrap this up with the following statement. I am tired of, I'm watching here and I'm watching in the United States as parents are jumping down the throats of school boards and legislatures because they're twisting and turning it to accommodate for a revisionist history methodology. And watch, this is what it is. And I applaud, and I saw another statement, I applaud the Texas legislature who came out bluntly and said there are no two sides to the Holocaust.
Yep.
We're implementing a bill, and there are, does not require an opposing viewpoint on historical facts. What they want is this conversation, and I get that. And I applaud them for coming out with these statements that was just released. And I agree with what you're saying about the left-wing media. But be careful. This is a slippery slope in which when we rewrite history, we are causing other damage. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to let you go. It is well past our quarter hour. We wish you all very well. And we hope that, if you are facing this kind of situation at your school board, that you're raising a ruckus to ensure that the right way of teaching is maintained. We thank you all very much. We'll see you guys again on Wednesday live here. Stay tuned.